Why does Joe always leave his fucking pants? Hang him up! This may be the first time ever that I've put on real pants for something. Okay, cool. Welcome to advice I'm giving. I hope I don't ruin your life. Also, that's the first piece of advice that I'm gonna give. No one can ruin your life except you. So with saying that, disclaimer for anything I say, if you did write to me and ask me for any advice on something, I'm gonna do my best to help you. Unless I find your question really funny, in which case I'm gonna laugh and probably like dick around a little bit. I'm going through a bad breakup. We lived together and I had to move out. How do I move on? I have a really bad response. Well, I think it's a good response to when people tell me that they've gone through a breakup, and I don't say it out loud most of the time unless it's somebody that I'm comfortable with, but I'm just gonna fucking say it to you. Congratulations. Good for you. I am a big believer that like breakups are awesome. Like I know that they suck while you're going through them, but something that you get a little more practice with, the more the fucking you get broken up with. Something you get a little more practice at is that sort of like future projecting where you're like, hey, I've been here before. It's never killed me. The world has never ended. I've always been completely fine. And for the most part, actually 100% of the time in my case and in the case of most people I know, I've felt so much better afterwards. Something that helps me when I'm going through a breakup is I try to remember that we broke up for a reason. And I remind myself that very often something good stands in the way of something great. And if you can get rid of that something good, something great will always come your way. Even if that's something great, like, because that doesn't necessarily mean like immediate new person. Like you have something great come out of yourself. Like you learn things about yourself. You get to like be happy in ways that you just didn't anticipate before. So yeah, my advice to anyone who's gonna ask a breakup question, I need you to, even if you haven't been through a breakup, you need to know that however long it takes, because everyone's process is like a little different, however long it takes, you are going to look back at your lowest moment right now and kind of be like, and it makes me laugh to think about it, like I put the word embarrassing on it because it makes me laugh, and it's always just how I felt. Sometimes I'll like be a year later, sometimes it's been like 2 weeks later, it's been a month later, and as soon as you realize that it's inevitable, it's gonna happen, that moment where you're like, oh my god, isn't that so fucking embarrassing that I was so upset about that? And as soon as you realize that that is just inevitably going to happen, you can kind of like speed that process up a little. What are some strategies to deal with anxiety? Oh, I actually really like this one because I have and do deal with a little anxiety every now and then. Always have. I feel like that kind of, for me at least, comes with being like a painfully just aware of everything person. Like a lot of my anxieties come from like, if I'm in a group of people, I'm like, oh my god, like what does that person think about me? And like, how am I being perceived? I fucking hate being perceived. And something that you learn that I'm always like trying to remind myself is nobody is thinking about you as much as they are thinking about themselves. Even what I just said. That was me thinking about myself. What is everybody thinking of me? Nobody is thinking of me. Like you have to remember, like somebody actually told me this and it has kind of changed my life, and it sounds really harsh, but you need to remember that you're not that great. Nobody is that great. You're not that great, they're not that great, she's not that great, he's not that, like nobody is that great that anybody spends an excessive amount of time like thinking about them. And if they do, they're fucking weird. And you need to not be concerned with that person. Another thing that has been like a big, like recent life changer for me, because sometimes just the way someone explains something can like have that like click moment for you. And I'm gonna tell you about that click moment for me. We were hanging out with one of our friends and I was like, I got comfortable. I don't know, like sometimes with certain people you just get comfortable, and I was like talking about being anxious about all sorts of stuff. And this person gave me like kind of the best advice I've ever had ever. He told me that like your mind can only be on two axes. It's only possible for your mind to be on one of two axes. You're either on reality, where what is just is. There are no maybes in realities. Either you fucking know something or you don't. Or you're on fantasy, where the possibilities are endless. And so you kind of have like a million different things that you don't know to be true, but have this weird, huge potential to stress you out. And I very often find that the root of my anxiety is because I'm like hardcore on the fantasy axes, because my brain, I think it's like a defense mechanism for me to think of every worst case scenario that ever can and was be. That wasn't English. But now something that I really am trying to practice doing is when I feel myself stressing out, I'm like, is it reality that I'm stressing about, or is it fantasy? 9 times out of 10 it's fantasy, and I have to try to like correct myself to like the present moment of like what is happening right now. And if it's reality that I'm stressed about, I'm like, okay, what do I know? What is? And can I act accordingly and fix it? And if not, can I make my peace with not being able to do it because that's just reality? Could you please give advice on how to improve your sociability skills? This is something that I have never ever stopped thinking about, because I was kind of, I've definitely said this before, I was really shy, really quiet. I would blush if anybody spoke to me pretty much until I left high school. And I do think that that just comes with being like a little too aware of your surroundings and a little too like hyper conscious of what people might be thinking about you. And a thing I really believe now is that people are just not thinking about you. And the way that you're feeling, there is a high possibility that other people are feeling that exact same way. We're all kind of in that same mental boat on this ocean of what the fuck is going on and what do people think of me? Am I okay? So first and foremost, I would just train your brain to just automatically be like, no one is thinking about me right now. Nobody's judging me right now. And if they are, you need to remember, fuck that person. You don't want to be hanging out with that person anyway. Even now, like being social definitely feels like a, and I love being social, but it feels like effort to me. Every time it feels like effort. I feel like I'm always trying to find like a common denominator. I'm always trying to find like that thing that I can like connect with someone about so that we can break past the awkward like, so what do your parents do and where were you born? Like all that shit that nobody really wants to talk about. I'm like, oh, I just want to get comfortable with you. So I completely understand like the feeling of it being an effort and having to try. And so in that as well, just remember that trying is not a bad thing. You can try in front of people. If you're trying to connect with people, you're already improving your social skills a lot. Oh, I love this. Breakup advice for a 17-year-old girl. Get as many breakups under your belt as you can. You're gonna get awesome at them and you're going to survive. Advice on social media as a creative outlet. Something you need to be completely honest with yourself about is how much you care about what absolute strangers think about your work, your art, your like whatever you're putting out there. Like how much do you care about the input of others? And if real honestly that's not the biggest deal for you, I'm so jealous. I'm super sensitive to feedback, like negative and positive. Just a thing. And if you're anything like me, my advice would really be that you need to convince yourself that whatever you make, you're the judge of that. Not a million strangers that should have absolutely no say in your life. You need to have a really like build up a solid foundation of like, I care what I think. Blah, blah, blah. What's like a more eloquent way to say blah blah blah? I hope you know what I mean, because the worst feeling is when you start like taking all those criticisms and it starts like molding the thing that is yours, that is your creativity, that is your work. Like that's I've been through that. It's like an ugly thing, that an ugly hole you don't want to fall down. Such a me question. How to travel with friends who can't get up early. I get up so early that like my family jokes that I'm like the dad of the vacations because I like to like brag about how early I got up. You kind of have to remember that if these are your friends and that is what they do, it's not up to you to change that. It's not your responsibility to like set alarms for them to change them. If they want to be up to do something, they'll be up to do something. Unfortunately, like you're gonna have to let them do their thing. And if you have, like me, plenty of hours alone to yourself in the morning, fill those hours with something that you genuinely like doing. Plan little things for yourself that like you can spend that time doing. Otherwise, you're just gonna be very frustrated about something that they're just doing their thing. They're just snoozing. How to impress a girl on a first date. So this is not that simple, but the advice that I would give to that is, and like I hate like the whole like thing of like, oh, be yourself, but you have to be yourself, because being yourself will impress certain people. And if it doesn't impress certain people, then they're not for you. But if you're putting on a show to try and impress somebody and it works, like how long are you gonna keep that up for? Because that's insane. Don't do that. Too much effort. Advice on finding friends. Say yes to things. If you get invited to go somewhere, like even if it is uncomfortable, that's something that you grow out of, that's something you get practice in, and it becomes like, and I know that this is like, especially if you're like me and the idea of going somewhere alone like makes you wanna, it's gonna suck at first, but try to say yes to things. That is the way that I have found my best friends. I met my best friends at a game night that I was like about going to, and if I didn't go to that game night and like play a nervous game of Cluedo, you Americans call it Clue, I wouldn't have my best friends. I wouldn't have met them. For skin advice, you can watch my skincare routine video. People have been asking me out lately. What a flex! But I don't feel like I'm emotionally available. Here's the thing, right? I'm very sensitive to like how other people feel, and so I would always feel guilty if I would ever like go out with someone and I got a sense that they really liked me and I was still kind of like just figuring it out. You have to remember that, like, especially in dating is hanging out with people and figuring it out. You are allowed to go out with someone and like figure it out. You're allowed to be emotionally unavailable for whatever reason. You just kind of have to be honest. But you're allowed to go, if you feel like going out on a date, go out on a date. You really don't owe anyone shit when you go on a date with them. You're fucking figuring shit out just the same as they are. Don't forget that. Hair advice, please, because your hair is gorgeous. I used the little sparkly emojis that I like. You really have, let me do it to like the harp music. You have to stop straightening your hair. You have to stop curling your hair. You have to learn to work with whatever texture your hair is, because the more you apply direct heat to it, the more fucked up it's gonna be. Was that good? That's really like my biggest advice. It's like, learn to work with what the texture of your hair is. I usually find that whatever people's hair texture naturally is, it like suits them. And if it doesn't, they just haven't figured out like the right like things to use for it yet. Like, my hair can be a little bit dry and brittle, which you would never guess by how it's glistening in the sunlight right now, because I use a fuck ton of oil in it. I use so much like oil in my hair because it can be dry and but I didn't figure that out for so long, and I just thought my hair was straw. Oh, this is so sweet. Self-confidence / not being slim thick. Oh, that makes me so sad because, I mean, first of all, slim thick just made me laugh because of the 2 C's in thick. But that's really, really sad because you really just specified that there's like one ideal body type that you would like to have that you don't. And that makes me feel really, really sad for you, because the thing is, and this is not news to anybody, we all only get the body that we have. There are things that you can do to, you know, feel better in it. Like, I really like working out, and it's really become over the years less and less about how I look. Like, I'm at a stage now where I really just work out because I want to read Midnight Sun on the elliptical and it feels good. I feel like woo afterwards. Like, it helps me quieten down my mind a little bit. So there's things you can do to help you feel like you're nurturing your body more. But you need to give your body some love and credit for everything that it does for you. Like, it makes me really sad, and this goes to anything about appearances, when people are so mean to themselves about something. Like, and trust me, I've had like years of doing that. Hello. Modeled since I was 12, so I know what it's like to do that. My advice on that is really to remember that we, and I don't know how much easier this makes it, but we were not designed to be able to like scrutinize ourselves the way that we do. I don't think that we were supposed to have fucking access to mirrors and cameras and zooming in on parts of us that we don't like. I don't think we were supposed to have access to see so many people looking so perfect and to be able to like compare ourselves to that. I know it's easier said than done to like love your body for everything that it does for you, but you can't like, even like saying like slim thick, right? Like, that might be what's in now. So sad that there's like types of literal bodies that go in and out of style. Your body is not something that is supposed to go in and out of what's trendy and what's in. That's not what you are here to do. You need to prioritize the things that you are here to do. And really, the only thing you're here to do is have a good fucking time. And if you're not having a good fucking time, try to have a good fucking time. Figure out what you like doing. Focus on those things and realize that you're just so much more than the case you come in. Oh, that makes me really sad. How do I stop overthinking every rude comment that people say to me? I do want to say, if people are saying rude shit to you on the internet, you have to remember, first of all, that person probably wouldn't say that shit to your face. They're very brave behind a keyboard, and so you have to remember the only reason you're even subject to this is because of the internet. Second of all, if that person did say that to your face in real life, you would look at them and be like, that's really weird. Like, your brain would naturally know that there was something wrong with them and nothing wrong with you. I really believe that if someone goes out of their way to make someone feel bad, that just says everything about them. Don't even fucking listen to what they're saying. How to deal with patronizing men. Don't hang out with them. I struggle with shit like this because there's so much, like, I'm an Aries. Look at me. Look at me. Oh my god, I never would have said that a year ago, but there's so much fucking fire in me that when I see, like, even, like, small injustices, it takes, like, a lot to be, like, held back on that. And something that I've learned from having many an argument because of that, because I'm, like, standing up for something I believe in, is that a lot of the time, you're not going to be the person that changes the way that person acts. People really only change when they want to. What you do have control over is yourself. You cannot be around that person. And I would highly suggest not being around that person. First time having sex. Should I be nervous? Is it really painful? God, how do I've never spoken about something like this on camera. It's easier said than done to say, like, try not to be nervous, because that will help for things to be more comfortable for you. Everybody's experience is different. My biggest advice would be to hopefully be doing that with somebody that listens and pays attention, and that you feel comfortable enough with, that if there is a situation where you're not comfortable anymore, then you can say that, and, you know, something will change, things will stop. But you'll survive. You will survive. How to avoid liking people romantically. I don't fucking know. I'm a serial monogamist. I'll, like, go through a breakup and be like, I'm never doing it. Okay, wow, this is a long ass video. Whew, I really, like, fucked around less than I thought I would. I really do I just really love being big sister to the internet? I think I do. Thank you so much to everyone who wrote to me and allowed for me to give you some warranted advice. I really appreciate it. If I didn't answer your questions, I'm hopefully just gonna be continuing to do more of these because I really liked it. But in the meantime, please like this video, wherever the fucking like button is, and please subscribe. I think I'm getting better at, like, asking for things. Hey guys, please like and subscribe. I was so uncomfortable doing that in the beginning. I was like, oh, subscribe if you want to. Okay, I hope you have a great day. And if you're not in the daytime, and if you're in the nighttime, if you're tucked up in bed, oh, I'm so jealous of you. I fucking can't wait. Okay, bye.